Hey, coaches, welcome back to Football Talk with Coach Chip. This will be the final troubleshooting episode of this 2024 football season. That doesn't mean if you send me something, I won't make a video about it, but I just did it during the season, so we're moving on. Today we're going to be talking about troubleshooting the GT counter, especially when you're talking about running it against a 40, an even front that's giving you a 3 and a 1. And you're 2x2. But before we do that, be sure to head on over to Spotify, Apple. There's a few others that I've noticed on the analytics that coaches are listening to Football Talk with Coach Chip, the podcast. Thank you so much. Over 1,200 listens. And that's nothing to write home about when you compare it to the big-time podcasters. But remember, I'm aiming at football coaches. That is definitely a niche audience. You like that word? I'm a well-read country boy. If you have an idea for a video or a podcast guest, even if that podcast guest is you, give me a holler at siegel.chip@gmail.com. We're having a big time now that football season is winding down. Playoffs are starting or already started all over the fruited plain. And so we'll have more time to get more coaches involved in the podcast. We're about to have the 25th episode. That's pretty cool. Haven't missed a week since we started, except that 1 week when the computer crashed. All right, let's get started with troubleshooting the GT counter. Now, the question was, he said, Coach Chip, how can we account for that mic on the back side? And I've had that question before. I had that issue as a coach. We did all kind of things, like we always, when we're pulling, you're accountable for run-throughs. So it's the first instinct is that backside tackle looking right here, and if he runs through, he gets him. Issue is, if you're running true gap down backer, the play side tackle is gone to the backside backer unless Will here steps up on his track. So now Will is the free hitter. So it's kind of, you choose your poison, which is it? And issues like this years ago are the reason why we went to that backside RPO, reading the first backer backside, first backer past the midline, and that would account for it if he triggered, disconnect, and throw it. And so that was an option. And another option would be to bring another guy into the box, like an H, a sniffer type thing. And then you got a bonus guy that can come through there and pick somebody up, whether it be the tackle or the H, whoever's not wrapping. That's another option. But going back to the option about him blocking gap down backer right here, making a call, and we actually tried that. It's been years ago. But it goes against the grain of what I preach about not frigging around with the offensive lineman. Now we're telling the lineman to do something different. Now you're telling a teenage boy or younger, so many of y'all are sub-varsity coaches, you're telling a teenage boy or younger to do something different, and then next time when they give you a different look, we expect him to recognize that and make the adjustment, and then we get pissed at him because he does what we told him to do. Don't frig around with your linemen. The rules are the rules. It's not to say there's not exceptions or if-thens and stuff like that, or if-thens. But you got to be careful when you start tweaking your blocking assignments. Offensive linemen are usually the smartest kids on the field. They are also routine guys. You could be a 160 IQ Mensa offensive lineman, and somebody starts messing around with everything you know to be true and right with the world, and it can turn you into a basket case. So let's not do that. So the backside RPO is good, but then that presents the issue of what about this end if he's squeezing, running it down, or if you read pass on this slant sit, quarterback does, and this end gets all up into your grill. Now you got a free runner coming at your quarterback. So what do? Well, you could add the jet motion, hopefully, to account for that DN to freeze him. All you got to do is just freeze him for a count. If he just pauses. So if he's, a young, inexperienced DN or not very well coached and he's not paying attention to his tackle and he sees that jet motion coming and the jetter sells that fake and this guy just takes one step out or just kind of freezes, then you're good. The quarterback doesn't do anything. He doesn't have to fake the jet. Only thing the quarterback's got to do is everything he did on the previous slide and snap the ball at the appropriate time, not after the jetters cleared him, but right in here, and let the jetter do the faking, and he's still doing what he's doing, handing the ball off right here, meshing with the running back, and reading the mic right here on whether or not to throw it. So all these things are good or okay. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you the best thing to do. This is it. This is the best thing to do. If you're going against an even front, you're 2x2, and you want to run GT counter versus a 3 and a 1, always run it to the 3. Do check with me. Just call GT counter and tell your quarterback to find a 3. And then you call it. You just have code words for direction. And this is easy to install. There is no extra to do except adding the words like blue for left, red for right, Lucy for left, Ricky for right, Larry for left, Ralph for right. Ever how you do it in your program, or let your kids come up with it. Who knows what they could, let your linemen come up with it, because those are the 5 majority rules. It's the largest group on the team, figuratively and literally, in numbers and in volume, mass, and let them come up with it. The quarterback can figure the crap out. You say, hey, what do y'all want to call this? And then when you're practicing inside run, do them all check. When you're practicing GT counter during your inside run period, run every one of them check with me. And have the coach that's running your scout defense on inside run just keep changing the front from 3 left, 3 right, 3 left, 3 right. Just rotate it around and have your quarterback identify the 3. Say, Coach, what if they stem? Then you're going to have to go with it, because you don't want to mess with that, with young kids. And that's the reason why people like Kirby Smart at Georgia and others stem. That's why when I was a defensive coordinator and a D-line coach back in the day, I stemmed. If we knew a team was doing that, was check with me, was audibly changing the play at the line, and we knew their snap count. That's another reason why I always send somebody to physically scout the other team if they're just scouting pregame and the first half of the game. Get their snap count, because it's hard to get that on video. And I'm giving you a defensive pointer there. But it is hard to, once you call it, then you start fooling around with it. And so many stadiums, don't have the play clock, at the end zone. So you don't know how much time you've got. There's plenty of time. If you're no huddle like we were for so long and you call it right away and you got a chance to change it. You say, well, how do you change it once you've called it? So if you call it immediately, let's say you're 5 seconds into the 40-second clock, and you call it, and you say, you start your snap count, and they stem. The quarterback can say, easy, easy, check, check, and then change it. But then they can stem again. That's the one thing. Defense can move. Offense has the potential to have their pen in the pen in their hand last. But defense has always the ability to move right up until the snap of the ball. They don't have to worry about getting set again. So they can stem. So you're getting that cat and mouse game. But this is the best thing, I believe. If they like to do backside run-throughs, always run the cockeyed thing to the 3 tech. We used to do it, we run our gut. The wrap right here, because I just loved gutting it to the 3 because the angles were so sweet. It's the same principle here. We would just call it. Quarterback would would look at the defense, make the call. And we had our code words. Y'all know we love code words. Like our gut left was Georgia, Our gut right was dogs. G for gut, okay? And we always call things, when you read a word, when you read a name of something, what's on the left? If you're reading Georgia Bulldogs or Georgia Dogs, when you read it, what word's on the left? Georgia. What word's on the right? Dogs or Bulldogs. So we always did it that way. We called our GT Florida Gators. So maybe we just, line up, tell the quarterback, check with me. And he looks at it. We want to run it to the 3. He'd call against this defense, Florida, Florida. If it was flipped, he would call Gators, Gators. Like this. So this would be a Gator call, GT right. And this would be a Florida call, or GT left, or Blue, or Larry, or Lucy, or whatever word you want to use to let your offensive line know we're running GT left or we're running GT right. To me, that's the easiest way to do it. And if you not comfortable with the RPO thing, you don't have the kind of quarterback that can throw that RPO or can read it. You don't have the receiver that you trust to catch that thing. The defensive end's not going to honor the jet motion, whatever. This is real simple. Don't have to install anything. Just spend 5 or 10 minutes. You say, well, how do we know the kids? And I told the coach this. I said, let's say Larry is going to be your call. All week, every time you see one of your linemen, say to Larry, and they need an appropriate response, GT left or left, because you may want to do it on more than just the GT. You say Ralph, they say right. Walk up to them and stretching. They're on their back, stretching out their hammies or whatever. Say, Ralph. Say, we're running GT right, coach. Larry. And you just, in the weight room. That way it becomes second nature to them. And in the heat of the moment, the more times they hear it in the heat of the moment, they're more likely it registers with them, and you get that. Because you don't want that. They're putting their hands on their helmet going, oh, my God, my bad, crap. You don't need to tell me it's your bad. Everybody saw it. All right, coaches, that's it for this episode of Football Talk with Coach Chip. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode. Don't forget, our resources are still out there. The Jet Manual. It's over 200 pages of different ways to run the jet, how to install the jet, how to coach it up, how to teach different scenarios, different ways to block it, and all kind of things, cool things you can do off jet. We didn't do all of them because you can't do everything. But we did a ton of them, or I've seen them done. They're all in there. It's a great resource. Hit me up at Football Talk with Coach Chip if you want to get the Jet Manual or the Offensive Line Manual for gap scheme blocking. It's a must. If you're a gap scheme team, it is a must. You can't beat it. Hit me up. I'll tell you how to get your copy. If you're a buck team, you've got to get the Big Book of Bucks. It's got all different ways. It's like the Jet Manual, different ways you can run the buck out of different formations, how we started blocking the buck so defenses couldn't take away the buck with alignment because you can pull different people. It is really a great, and if you're a pin and pull team, you want to get this too. It may open your eyes to a different way to pin and pull by using angles. Let's say you're a big pin and pull team, but you don't have the kind of tackles you trust to reach a 5. You don't have the kind of tight end that you trust to reach a 9. Why not use the angles the defense is going to give you on every cockeyed snap? That's in the Big Book of Bucks. It's not just, some people say, well, I'm not a buck guy. I prefer pin and pull. This is for you. You say, well, Coach, I'm not going to buy that and then find out I can't use it. You don't have to. I'm going to send it to you. You look at it and say, oh, yeah, I can do that. Then you pay me. And you say, nah, I'm going to keep doing the way I do it. Thanks anyway, Coach. And you don't pay me. And just delete the Big Book of Bucks from your computer. It is an attachment. It is a Google Drive. It's a Google slide. So I email it to you. You get it immediately as soon as I open your email asking for it. And you check it out. And if you like it, then you pay me. If you don't, delete it. Where does that happen? Try doing that crap at Walmart. I'm going to buy this, and if it doesn't work out, Used to they guaranteed returns. They don't do that anymore. I'm guaranteeing you a return, and you don't even have to pay me up front like you will at Walmart. I'll come back and pay you if I like it. That ain't going to work anywhere but on Football Talk with Coach Chip. Hey, don't forget our freebies. Check that out at the end. We got the scouting and preparing for your next opponent. It's a must, especially if you watch film. It's an organized system on how you can break down your opponent and make every coach on your staff feel a part of the game plan. Even that young, fresh out of college guy, the guy that never played college football, the dude that just wants to coach, the guy you talked into coaching because you needed somebody and he's willing to do it. He can now feel a part of it and help develop him and grow him as a coach, which is also part of your job as a coach. If you want to dive deeper into any of these, you need any help troubleshooting, one-on-one troubleshooting, we're doing Zooms. They're really not Zooms. I started doing Google Meet. It just works better for me. And I found out because I'm buying the extra storage from Google, the Google Meet comes with it. So I'm not limited by, the time limit, the time constraints of a Zoom call. You say, well, Coach, we don't do that. It's easy. I send you the link. You click on it. Everybody uses Google. Not everybody, but everybody I've talked to. And it's there. I'll send you the link and you click on it. And it's in some ways, once I've learned to use it now, it's easier than the other way. And of course, it's cheaper because I'm already paying for it and I don't have to worry about, the 45 minutes or whatever. And so if we BS at the beginning of it, it's not like we're eating into our time. So that's good too. I like that. And so we can do that. Just hit me up at siegel.chip@gmail.com. Opportunity to support old Coach Chip, buymeacoffee.com/Coach Chip. Had a guy yesterday that I've been talking to off and on the whole season, helping him week to week, not every week. And he just said, Coach, boom, I'm going to buy you a cup of coffee. He bought me 5 cups of coffee. I don't drink coffee. Y'all already know that. But I promise you, I will put that money to good use and buy me something to drink. Buymeacoffee.com/Coach Chip. One more freebie. This is the sample practice schedule, and it comes with install ideas, and it comes with a 3-day work week. It comes with 2 platoon and 1 platoon practice schedules. It's a Microsoft Excel file, so you just open up a tab, copy and paste my stuff, and then plug your stuff into the cells. And the great thing about it is no more saving the schedules, putting them in a folder. They're saved on your computer. I can go back right now and look at practice schedules from when I started using this about 15, 16 years ago, using this system. They're still there. They're on my computer. Well, they're on a jump drive now. All right, then the sample call sheet. Season's coming to an end. Most people don't want this right now, but it's there. It's also a Microsoft Excel file, and it's got everything you could want down in distance scenarios, 2-point conversion chart, when you can start taking a knee based on time and timeouts, scripts, bundles that we talked about. It's one of the freebies about scripting your offense using bundles instead of, the 10, 12, 15 play script. How about a series of 4 or 5 play bundles? And you can just go from bundle to bundle, mini script to mini script, MINI script. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Here is the free resource list. I'm not going to sit here and read this to you, all 38 of them. And I've also got a whole bunch of playbooks in a separate file. Hit me up, ask me, what kind of playbooks do you have, Coach? Just holler at me at siegel.chip@gmail.com. Don't forget the podcast. Find it on Spotify or on Apple. All right, that's it. Running the GT counter versus an even front defense. All the many things you can do, and it came down to one thing. Check with me. Until next time, y'all, be elite.